Hey guys, it's RC here. Going to be starting a new series here on my channel. Uh, and this is going to be a little different because this is actually a request from somebody that I know and respect. I was actually contacted by Gary Gorski, who is the owner of Wolverine Software Studios, earlier today. I have been a partner with Gary, and this is going to just be full disclosure. Since he started his business years ago, and I was actually one of his alpha testers. This was, we actually, I was one of the people that were heavily involved in testing his game during the development process, trying to weed out bugs and come up with things for him to fix prior to the actual release. Then several years ago, he went in a different direction. I have continued to support him to the best of my ability. Sometimes beta testing for him, but he's gone to more of a an open beta format. And basically, it's where you develop a game and you have a few people beta testing it during the process. But as you probably are aware, when you do open beta testing, it's not uncommon for games to have some issues and bugs when they come out that need to be fixed. Uh, Wolverine brought on a new developer named Brooks, and I'm going to butcher his last name, but Peugeot or Pijot. I hope I pronounced that right. If I didn't, take it out of my paycheck. uh, but anyway, Brooks was the developer. He was just an independent developer, and he had released a game called PFS, which is Pro Football Simulator. And Gary went out and hired him to come on board with Wolverine. And he has since released, I believe he's released a new updated PFS game, so a Pro Football Simulator game under the Wolverine banner. And as of yesterday, today being November 22nd, so yesterday, Brooks and Gary and Wolverine have released the first college football sim game since 2005. 12 years, not kidding. There may be some small ones that were out there, but as far as big, well known, uh, first college football game in 12 years. So I was a small part of the beta testing. Honestly, I've had a lot going on in my personal life and was not able to dedicate as much time to it as I wanted to. But as I mentioned, Gary reached out to me earlier today and asked if I would be willing to dedicate or donate some of my time to reviewing some of the games in his catalog for Wolverine Studios. Uh, in an effort to get word out there about the games, an effort to help new players kind of get through the game, figure out how to play it, um, and answer any questions. Now, I'll be very honest. I think most questions still need to go to the Wolverine Studios forums, where Brooks, the developer himself, can be involved in answering those questions because at the end of the day, he's going to know, let's face it, he's going to know a hell of a lot more about this game than I will, ever. Ever. Now, I have some other games on my channel for the college football game that came out in 2005. I love that game. This is not that game. And playing a game for 12 years and then trying to play another game is trying to compare, this is going to sound horrible, but if my wife, I've been married to my wife for 25 years, if she died today and I got remarried, it would be like comparing my new wife to my deceased wife. Next to impossible. And she heard that, so I'm not hiding anything from her. It would be that difficult. I don't think that's fair to do. And I think it's equally impossible in this situation where I've got a 12-year history with one game, and it's not going to do justice to this game to compare them. So I'm going to do my best to disassociate my experience from that one game and only kind of walk you through this game. And again, this is something Gary's asked me to do. I certainly don't mind, and I hope he is at the end of the day pleased with what I put out there for you guys. I will put the links to Wolverine Studios for the game itself, as well as their forums in the below the video in the comments, so you can go and check out the demo. There is a free playable demo for this game. Also, it is released for sale now. So if you want the full Monty, so to speak, you can get that. And then again, of course, asking questions with the rest of the Wolverine community. There's going to be a lot of questions coming in. Today, what I want to focus on is just kind of the basics of the game, and this will probably take several videos just to get going, because I like to keep my videos under 30 minutes, just for for time crunch. For you guys watching them, I could sit here and ramble for 3 or 4 hours, but it would take forever to upload, and nobody has 3 to 4 hours to watch a single video. So I will do these in bites, try to break them down into bite-sized chunks. But let's get started. So here we have version 1 of Draft Day Sports College Football 2017. Yes, it is November 2016, but we're at closer to the end of the season rather than the beginning. So we are going to go with that, and let's get started. How do we play this? Well, when you first download the game and install it, you actually buy it through their website. And again, I will link that information below. It will give you a user key or an identification key, and when you come into the game the first time, it will actually have a box for you to put that key into and buy the game. You buy it on their website, but you register the game right here. It will load the game, and then once you've done that, once you own the game and have registered it, this is what your start screen will be. Okay, so at this point, we can either create a new association or load a saved association. So let's go ahead and create a new one. And this is just going to be your association name, NCAA, My Solo League. I'm just going to put it as Video League. Okay. Starting year, this is basically anything you want it to be. This has no bearing on the game or the game play. I bring that up. If any of you have played Out of the Park Baseball, for example, you know that they have historical leagues, and they actually have the different generations of baseball. So if you choose to play the golden years in the 1960s and 70s, you're going to have a lot more complete games, starting pitchers going all 9 innings, very few use of relief pitchers, high stolen bases. That was the era of Ricky Henderson and those guys, stealing 100 bases. Then, you could go with the modern day where it's going to be more bullpen and closer oriented. Less stealing, more on power, more on, the 3-run home run. So where you play in that game where the starting year can really change how the game operates, this has no bearing on this game. Association type, doesn't look like there's anything there. There is a drop down. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what Sandbox is. Typically that means an open play that you can kind of do anything. I don't know how you would do that in a college football game, but it is there for you to try out. Online would be if you're starting a multiplayer online league. And if you're just doing solo play, then you would be career. Okay, so I'm going to choose career, and that does advance, so 1 year after the other. At some point, there will probably be some user mods that will create the actual conference names, the team names, and things of that nature. Right now, we're just going with the CPU-generated players, and I'm not worried about any of these right now. So we're going to advance. And I want you to remember those little double arrows that were on the advance button, and you can scroll back in the video just a second. That's what DDS or Draft Day Sports, which is the sports arm of Wolverine Studios, uses for their advance button. So this will go through and create the league based on the parameters that I just set up. Sorry about that. Needed to get a little drink there. All right, it's creating the recruits for the forthcoming season. All right, yep, just to make sure I was still recording. All right, here is where, so we're playing a solo game. It's just me or just you playing along with me. So this is where you would choose your team. So I'm going to come down and choose the Louisiana State Cougars, also known as the LSU Tigers. Uh, I'm guessing there's a licensing issue, so we will have to probably look for somebody, and it won't be me, to create a user mod with the real logos and team names, team nicknames, and conference names. But this is what we have for right now, so this gets us started. All right, so there we are. So this is your game screen. All right. And I don't know how far we'll get in 30 minutes, but there's a lot to cover, so you'll just have to bear with me, and I will just start at the top. All right, so we have Draft Day Sports. You can create a new league from here, save this league, so I'm going to go ahead and do that just to give us a baseline save. While that's saving, you have a load option to load another league if you wanted to. Options, help, and credits. All right, so if we go to credits, so here's Brooks, the developer that created this game. Asker, the associate developer. I think he does, I could be wrong, but I believe he does a lot of the artwork and behind the scenes stuff for Wolverine. And Gary Gorski, who is the owner and founder of Wolverine Studios and also a programmer of note. One thing to know about Gary, Wolverine Studios, he is a Michigan Wolverine fan. So am I. That's one reason we get along so well. Uh, but anyway, so that's the Wolverine crew. We'll go into the options later because there's some things in there that I'll be honest, I'm not very happy with, and I think need to be tweaked immensely, but that's not about getting you into the game. So this isn't really a review, it's to get you started playing. So we have our top 25 poll here. We have our conference standings here. And we have our team information here and our schedule for the season here. Now, we don't have any input on year one. Everything comes in, you're hired just prior to game one and spring training. So basically everybody's fired their coach and you've been hired. So you can see we've got 12 games, which is your maximum number of games, 8 conference games, 4 non-conference. Some of the other conferences may have 9. I don't know. I guess we could look real quick. Let's look at the Midwest 10. Yes, no, maybe. Oh, Michigan, 1, 2. All right, they've got 12. Tennessee, New Mexico, Virginia Tech, and Notre Dame. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's yeah, it looks like, well, no, let's see. 1, 2. Yeah, they've got 4. All right. So it looks like everybody has 4 out of conference games. And again, I think we will see mods at some point that change these to the Big East, the ACC, the Big 12, Big 10, SEC, etc. But for right now, this is what we've got. All right. So what you have to get in the habit of is hitting the home button every week. That brings you to this page, and this is where your emails will show up. I think there should be something that pops up here to notify you of that, but it's not. And here's those double arrows, which mean advance. So don't make the mistake of just coming up here and running training right away. There's a lot to review. So let's kind of go through it all one at a time. So you have your home page, which gets you here, and that's weird. Every time I hit home, it resorts that standings. Um, that may be something Brooks wants to look at. And I know Gary and Brooks are going to check this video out, so I may make some suggestions as I'm going through this video as well to save me time reposting it on their forum later, because some of these things are things I'm seeing for the very first time myself. So we have the home button, but yeah, that resort function is kind of weird. I mean, it should always sort the same way, I would think. But anyway, that's just me. You can check your emails if you have any here, and it'll give you a number if you do. Team news, injuries, news, transactions, quick stats, where you rank in the league, your leading rusher and passer, etc. I don't know. Do you have transactions in college? The only transactions I could assume are from recruiting. You don't have a DL or an IR, or you don't cut. I guess you could cut players too, but I think that's a screen I won't use a lot, if ever. Injury report you'll be wanting to look at to see who's injured. Your standings page, you can sort by conference or by playoff, which is the old the old BCS, the current 14 playoff system. Let's see, leaders. Everything here is alphabetized, so no limit on who's here. That'll change week to week as you play out your games. Media, your top 25 poll, weekly highlights, yearly highlights, top performers, team basics, award favorites, so your Heisman Trophy contenders, newspaper. There will be newspaper articles here, and camp results. This will be from spring training, and we'll get to that pretty quickly. An almanac, which this is your history, award winners, statistics, your playoffs, breakdown year to year. This is where you would go back and just recall anything that's happened. So that's your overall. Now we go down into the team. Okay, so let's go back to home. You don't have to. I could have just clicked here, but I want you to understand this is for your team. So here we have our team, Louisiana State, and we're going to come right down here and just look at some things. So here's our roster. All right, you can sort by starters, active roster, freshmen, all positions. You can look at your breakdown by position. This also shows you what your average rating is by position. So all of my quarterbacks combined average out to an 89.8. Now that's on a 100-point scale. Okay, and we will talk about ratings a little bit more. Let's see, you can sort by your ratings here. You can sort by stats, which we don't have any. We can sort by depth chart, which we don't have one. We'll have to go in and set the depth chart. Okay, so we'll do that in a little while. Well, actually, let's do that right now. So we could do that from game plan or roster. So here's roster, and we can click on depth chart, game plan. No, actually, I was wrong. This is something else entirely. All right, so under roster, we want to go to depth chart. There is a glitch here, and it's already on the list of things. I mentioned the game just came out yesterday. Brooks already has a list going up on the Wolverine forums on his first patch. Brooks probably put out 50 patches just to tweak things. He was continually tweaking his first PFS game. It wasn't that it was bad. He was always trying to improve it. But as with this open beta, there are some things that are glitchy, as we just pointed out with that sorting function. that he may decide he wants to address. One of the things is the master depth chart does not populate unless you do it manually. The AI does not work here. So he's already made note that he will fix that in the first patch, and he is going to target that first patch to be released by next weekend, which will be, well, I don't know if he said the 25th or 26th or the 2nd, 3rd. I'd give him at least a full week to work on it, but he's pretty quick on getting these things out. But if we go down to our first offensive formation, okay, and you notice there is some lag on this screen, not sure why. We're going to go ahead and hit AI set all, and it populates it. Okay, now I'm going to hit save to save the depth chart. Now, what we'll notice is, let me come down to just something at random, and you saw a couple of names change. So let's go over to defense. Okay, there's a change. So all of these depth charts are now populated. I do apologize. I am recording, but we have real life stuff happening at home, so ignore the noise in the background. We do have the punt return, so you can see all of these have populated, and we have saved them. So we now have a depth chart. As I mentioned, that master depth chart does not populate. There you go. He is going to fix that, so that will populate. So we've set our depth charts now. Now we can go. Now I see here training camps is the very next thing. So let's go to training. This is your default. It only has 22 of 25 points. I don't know why. I don't know what the rationale for that is. I also know that I cannot change these and save them here. According to my post, and I will have to go find it here. Let's see. See if I can find my post on this. Depth charts. No, that wasn't it. It was training. There it is. All right, so I went to training. I tried to change those options. So we're talking about these right here. And it does not lock it in. Okay, so Brooks has said, I'm tweaking this screen, but you have to change the drop down at the top to pick a schedule first, then the save will work. So this will probably be part of his first patch or two, but, oh, okay, here's schedule. So default schedule. Oh, okay, so I see what he said. All right, so now if I want to save these, is that going to let me save? Usually you get the save box here. So I did change the drop down to pick a schedule. I did that. All right, let me do this. I'm going to come back to training. Let me make sure it changes screens. Roster back. Okay, so it didn't give me a save notice, but it did save. So I'm at 25 points. All right. So what this means is you can actually create a new schedule. So it may be for spring practice, whatever, and you actually have to go in and assign each one of your players. So like it has all the players here. You would actually have to create a new one and then click assign into that schedule. So if I select created a new one, let's just say spring ball. All right. Now I have two options here. Default has 25, spring ball has 4, but I don't have any players, so I would have to assign. I wish there was an assign all. That would be a great feature here to us. I mean, there's no reason you would not want to assign all of your players to this, right? I can't think of one. And if I don't assign them all, then they're not going to get any points, right? So And then you could say, okay, for this one, I want 5. Maybe this is more. I want to go real heavy on athletics and physical and watch a little more game tape. Something to that effect. Oh, Canopy. Never mind. I was like, it's not stopping. How come? All right, so 6, 11, 11, 5. All right, so maybe we would want to do that, and then we would save that. Now, of course, I didn't add all my players, so that would be a really stupid one to use. So we're going to go to default again. All right, we'll go with that. And in fact, I want to go to spring ball, and I want to delete that. All right, so there you go. So that's how that would work. All right, so that's got us through training, and we're about 25, 26 minutes in here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in this video. We will pick up at this point in the next one. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. I hope you do check them out. Feel free to leave any comments below. Again, if you have any pointed questions or any specific questions, they're probably better to go over to the Wolverine forums, register over there, and get some help from the community as a whole. So thanks for watching, and we will talk to you next time.